they're going to come back this way. Now, why do I say that? I say that because I want you to understand that, and make an analogy here. The ants will follow the narrow way. They will follow the straight way. They will follow the narrow way. And they are all about geography. They're straight line people. If you notice the cracks of a sidewalk or a square, I mean, that's how they're, by nature, that's how they are. But they're linear. They will follow the straightest path to food and then come back. Okay? So that's something about going to the ant. You see, sometimes we need to follow that straight and narrow way. When objects come in our path, sometimes we need to take the shortest route to get back to wherever we were in terms of our relationship with God. Sometimes, we tend to take the long way around. That's me, sometimes. See, get in the book and read, and you can get back on path a little faster. You see, we can see that about the ant. Other facts about the ant, we all know, like insects, ants have 6 legs. Now, we don't have 6 legs, so there's not a comparison there. Sometimes I wish I had 6. Each leg had 3 joints. The legs of the ants are very strong, and they can run very fast. If we could equate how fast the average ant would travel, it would be that the human would travel at the speed of a racehorse on the Kentucky Derby. If we could control it. So they're very fast, even though it doesn't look like they're moving very fast. For their size and for their bodies, they're very fast. The average ant has about 250,000 brain cells, believe it or not. The average human has about 10 million, so a colony of 40,000 ants has the collective ability of a human. The average life expectancy of an ant is about 45 to 60 days. But I want you to understand something. The average ant's life expectancy is 45 to 60 days. Okay? So, but one thing they do is they prepare. An ant prepares. You see? Even for life after their death, an ant prepares. It goes to the food, it brings it back. It goes to the food, it brings it back. Whether they're there or not, because they know that winter's coming. Now take, for example, the grasshopper. The grasshopper don't care. He's just going to eat until he's just content, and when winter comes, he's going to die. But the ant prepares and comes back, and there's some ants that make it through winter. But if the average lifespan is 45 to 60 days, they work most of their life. Some of them see winter, but they all work and bring stuff back to the nest. You see? Ants use their antennae not only for touch, but to smell. And they have strong jaws. And I didn't know this about the ant. This is just a little side something here. But it's almost like a pair of scissors. Do you know that ants cannot chew and swallow solid food? When they bite into it with those little scissor things, the juice that comes out, I know this is real good on Sunday morning, the juice that comes out is what they actually ingest. And that's how they survive. Whatever is dry or left over, they just discard. And of course they're hatched. And of course we all know that they're led by the queen, right? And the job of the queen is to lay the eggs, etc. And look after the young. Did you know that ants are clean? I did not know that. I've always thought an ant was a nasty something. Especially when they get on my legs and I step on one fire ant can light me up. You better not sniffing. It would be a painful way to go. But we see that they're very clean. If they have trash or rubbish or waste or anything in their colonies, they'll move it out. That's just by their nature. And keep in mind, they're not here on average of 45 to 60 days, somewhere along in there. You see, each colony of ants has its own smell. That way, when other ants or other insects come, it can be they can know immediately by the smell. And of course, we all know the red species of ants tend to have a stinger, and of course, that helps to defend their nest. And you step in a mess of fire ants, and you're going to know it. Brother Chris will say, "Shoot fire!" But anyway, I want you to see see here this morning for a little while, let's go to the ant this morning. And let's learn from the ant this morning. It's amazing how God can use animals in the Bible, and He can use animals, insects. He used an ox and an ass in Isaiah 1:3. Remember in the New Testament He used a rooster, right? Remember He used a donkey. We had a little comical lesson there. He used a donkey to speak to Balaam in Numbers. In Proverbs, He mentions several. Go to the ant here. You see? The sluggard refers to one who is lazy, idle, careless, sticks to nothing, minds no business, and brings nothing to life, basically. Sometimes that's me. It is. Sometimes if we be honest with ourselves, sometimes I like to sit in the recliner and do nothing. There are 11,000 different kinds of ants, and they live in colonies numbering from a few to over 20 million. There are 1 quadrillion ants in the world today. 1 quadrillion. Do you know how many that is? Look again. This is how many that is. Let me say that again. There's 1 quadrillion ants in the world today. That is a 10, followed by 15 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is that right? I don't know if that's right or not. I'll take the commas out. That's about how many ants are in the world today. That's a lot of ants. The Bible says go to the ant. 10 quadrillion in the world today that we can learn from. Well, let's look at this. Well, first of all, looking at the ant and partnership there, they work in love. The ants really do. They work in love. They don't fight. Unlike some people, unlike some churches, where we have backbiting and brethren should love one another and love thy neighbor. And they love their neighbor as long as they're in their own calling. If it's anybody else, you might have a battle there. But they love themselves and they care for one another. And they're very helpful. They carry each other's burdens. Sometimes if an ant goes, and an ant can carry about 20 times its weight, by the way. And so if an ant drops something, the other ant will just pick it up and carry it right on. Even sometimes an ant might be carrying something and might have a tired ant be on top of the actual thing they're carrying. It could be a beetle or something. I'll tell a story in a minute about what I saw when I was a little child. But then the ant be resting right on the top of the beetle that they're carrying. It's just resting. They're very strange creatures, but they operate in harmony and they're helpful and they help the injured neighbors. They'll carry them. They'll rescue those who might fall in a pit or something. You see, sometimes we as humans tend to toss people in pits, at least with our mouth anyway. They operate in harmony. You see, each has a job, but none is more important than the other. The queen has a purpose. The worker has a purpose. The army ant has a purpose. They all have a purpose. I had no idea, but there's something called a driver ant. When it's on the move, elephants and poisonous snakes all, and sometimes villages in remote sections of the world will actually move up and move when these ant hills come up because they know that you can't get rid of them. They don't have a Lowe's with all this stuff you can go and get and sprinkle all over the place, so they have to keep moving. I don't know about you, but when I was a boy, I don't remember as many fire ants around as there are today. I mean, is that just me, or has that happened? I don't remember having to stay away from mounds and mounds of fire ants in this area when I was a child, like we do today.
Marty, they say that when they started raising cotton here is when the fire ants came here.
Really? Raising cotton? Well, they certainly are multiplying. They'll only be able to live 45 to 60 days. But we see the ant is productive. And ants all have voluntary service. There's no guide to guide the ant, but the ant just knows what to do. Yet the ant works. The ant